Alright, today we're going to be going over even and odd functions. Let's start by reading what is under even function. It says a reflection over the y-axis. So let's review what a reflection is over the y-axis. Right? So you have your axes here, x, y. You have a point, let's call 3, 1 here. When you reflect over the y-axis, all you do is negate x. So instead of 3, 1 becomes negative 3, 1. So what I want you to write in here is negative x, comma, y. In parentheses. Negative. And then when you do that with a graph, you can see, let's say we had a parabola that went through these points. You can see the y-axis, it's symmetrical on both sides. Now if we're looking at odd function, it says rotation of 180 degrees. So you have your axes here. We have our point 3, 1. What you do here is you flip the graph upside down, so your point will end up over here. You go to negative 3, 1 down here, and like I said, if we have a graph x cubed that goes through that point, something like that, you can see that if you flip the graph upside down, it looks exactly the same. So when we write this, you negate x and you negate y, and that's how we know when it's an odd function. So negate x, but y stays the same as even. Negate x and negate y, it's an odd function. Okay, now let's look at how to determine even and odd functions. Alright, first thing we're going to do to determine whether it's even or odd is we're going to find f of x. And how we do this, you pick any number, but it can't be 0 because that won't help us. So never pick 0, but you can pick any number besides 0 and plug it in for x. So pick any number that's not 0 and plug in for x. Secondly, after you do that and pick a number and you solve for f of x or f of that number, you will find f of negative x. So what we do here is we plug in the opposite x value that you picked from step 1. Okay, down here, draw some stars. This is important. After you do steps 1 and 2, if the answer you get equals each other, so if the answers equal, the function is even. So function even. If your answers are opposite, so for example, negative 2 and 2, those are opposites, right? Then the function is odd. And if you get an answer like, well, the answers aren't equal, so if you got like 2 and 17, then the function is neither. Okay, let's put this plan in action. So we have f of x equals negative 3x squared plus 4x. So remember, you're picking a value for x. I'm going to pick 2. You can pick anything besides 0. So we have, remember, this is our input value. So we're inputting that everywhere we see an x. So -3, parentheses 2, because I'm plugging in my x value, squared, plus 4, parentheses 2, plugging in the x value. We solve, you get -3 times 4 plus 8. -3 times 4 is -12, plus 8 is -4. Okay, now we have to find f of -x, right? So we plugged in 2, so we're looking for f of -2, you guessed it, and that equals -3 times -2 squared plus 4 times -2. You get that to equal -3 times 4 minus 8, so you end up with -20. Now, if we come over here, remember I said we're looking at our answers. So we have -4, we have -20. So if we look over here where I had you star stuff, are the answers equal? -4 and -20? Absolutely not. Are the answers opposite? -4, -20. They're clearly not opposite. For that to be opposite, one of them would have to be a 4. So our answers don't equal, therefore the function is neither. So right underneath function is neither. Okay, moving on to number 2. Let's just clear some room out here. So again, we're picking a number. This time 2 didn't work for us last time, so let's pick 3. So f of 3 equals 2 times 3 cubed minus 4 times 3. So 3 cubed is 27. 2 times 27 minus 12. So 2 times 27 is 54 minus 12 equals 42. Okay, we got 42. So now we're looking at f of -3, right? So that equals 2 times -3 cubed minus 4 times -3. That equals, remember, -3 cubed is -3. -3 times -3 times -3. So you get 9 times -3, and you get -27. So 2 times -27 minus 4 times -3, which is plus, because the negative times a negative is positive, so plus 12. You get -54 plus 12, and that equals -42. So here we go again. We're looking at our answers. So we got 42, we got -42, and if we go back over here, are the answers equal? 42 does not equal -42, so the function's not even. Are the answers opposite? 42 and -42? Yes, we have a winner. So underneath this one, we will write function is odd. Alright, flip it over to the back. Okay, welcome to the back page. Are you guys excited? Having fun with functions? Haha. Alright, so I'm going to rewrite this because it's a little blurry. So 7x cubed minus x. Remember, our first step is to plug in a value for x. So we have 7. I'm going to pick 3 again because I know what 3 cubed is, because we did it on the front. So 3 cubed was 27 minus 3. 7 times 27 is 189. 189 minus 3 equals 192. Okay, so I'll rewrite it again. 7x cubed minus x. That's our f of x. So if we took the f of negative 3 now, that would equal 7 times negative 3 cubed minus 3. You get 7 times negative 27 minus 3. You get, which equals negative 189 minus 3. And that equals negative 192. Okay, so remember, if you have to, flip back to the front. We're looking at our answers. Are the answers equal? Does 192 equal 192? Negative 192? No. Are they opposites? Negative 192 is the opposite of 192. So ding ding ding, we have a winner. This function is odd. So if you want a little something to help you remember, if the answers are opposite, it's odd. So opposite equals odd. And if the answers are equal, that's even. So look, E, E, O, O. Opposite odd equal even. Okay, so we're doing even and odd. We haven't had an even yet, so I'll give you a wild guess what number 4 might be. But let's make sure that we're right before you go assuming things. So before we start, let's distribute this x squared. So we come up with 5x to the 6th plus 6x squared, right? So f of x equals, let's pick a number. Let's do 2 so these numbers don't get too crazy. So we'll look at f of 2. That equals 5. Remember, plugging in for x, 2 to the 6th power plus 6 times 2 squared. So 2 to the 6th equals 64. So we have 5 times 64 plus 6. We all know what 2 squared is. 6 times 4. 5 times 64 equals 320. And 6 times 4 is 24. And that equals 344. Again, we distributed the x squared, so we ended up with f of x equals 5x to the 6th plus 6x squared. And we're taking f of negative 2. So we have 5 times negative 2 to the 6th plus 6 times negative 2 squared. We get 5 times 64. Because remember, it's 2 times negative 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 2. And that equals 64. And we're adding 6. Negative 2 squared is 4. 6 times 4. So as you can see, we get 320 plus 24, and that equals 344. So if you were smart and you guessed, we have equal numbers here because we haven't had one yet. So these functions are even, and remember, equal is even. Alright, if you have any more questions, we will go over this further tomorrow in class. Have a good night.